kind of stumbled across these sociological studies of Christian men when I was doing my research. And I was blown away. I had no idea. Like you, we've all heard the narrative that Christian men are exhibit A of toxic masculinity. I'll give you just one example. It was easy to find, lots of them. But the co-founder of the Church Too movement, which followed the Me Too movement, said, the theology of male headship feeds the rape culture that we see permeating American Christianity today. And so what happened is the social scientists were listening to these accusations and saying, but where's your evidence? You're making these charges, but where's your data? So they went out and did the studies of Christian couples. And I quote some dozen or so different studies. And they found the exact opposite. They found that the facts totally debunk the secular narrative, the dominant cultural narrative, that Christian men who actually attend church regularly, who are sincere, who are motivated, who are committed, actually test out at the highest in terms of being the most loving husbands and fathers. Their wives report the highest level of happiness with the way their husbands treat them. Evangelical men spend more time with their children than any other group, 3.5 hours more per week than secular fathers. Evangelical couples divorce at the lowest rate of any group, 35% lower than secular couples, and they have the lowest rate of domestic abuse and violence of any group in America. So this is incredibly surprising for most of us to hear. Sometimes a quote will crystallize it. So let me give you a quote. The man who did, the sociologist who did the largest study was Brad Wilcox at the University of Virginia. And to give you a sense of his stature, he gets published in places like the New York Times. So this is from a New York Times article that he published. Direct quote, it turns out that the happiest of all wives in America are religious conservatives. They focus on the wives, of course, is because the assumption is that these marriages are oppressive to wives. But no, the happiest of all wives in America are religious conservatives. Fully 73% of women who hold conservative gender values and attend church regularly with their husbands have high quality marriages. So this is not a pep talk from some religious leader. This is, firm social science data. These are evidence-based findings that we should be bold about bringing into the public square to debunk the secular narrative. And I would suggest also bringing it into the church to encourage Christian men that they're actually doing quite well by objective measures. And because the churches don't always encourage men either. One of my graduate students works for a very large Baptist church here in Houston, a mega church. And she said, on Mother's Day, we hand out flowers and tell the women they're wonderful. On Father's Day, we scold the men and tell them to do better. So in my book, I was very careful not to have a scolding tone. I think it's time for us to, in the churches as well, to start building up men and affirming and encouraging them that by objective measures, they are actually doing very well.